Growing up too fast doesn't always mean getting older quickly. It means being forced to act like an adult long before you were ready. Maybe you had to take care of others, manage emotions, or stay strong when no one else did. On the outside, it made you look mature, capable, even impressive. But inside, it changed how your brain works, how you connect with people, and how you understand yourself. Here are 9 signs that reveal you grew up too fast, and the psychology behind each one. Number 1. You're so independent, you can't ask for help. One clear sign of growing up too fast is extreme independence. You handle everything alone, not out of confidence, but out of necessity. Psychologists call this hyper-independence, a response formed in childhood when support was inconsistent or unavailable. When a child repeatedly faces situations where no adult steps in to help, the brain adapts. It learns. Depending on others is risky. Over time, this turns into a fixed belief that needing anyone equals weakness. So, as an adult, you avoid asking for help, even when it costs you time, energy, or well-being. This behavior isn't about strength. It's about control and safety. You grew up having to depend only on yourself, and your nervous system still runs on that old rule: if I don't do it, no one will. Number 2, you're always the peacemaker. Children who grow up too fast often become emotional managers. In psychology, this is linked to parentification, when a child takes on adult roles to stabilize the family environment. If you grew up in a home where conflict, tension, or emotional instability were common, you may have learned early to calm others down, mediate arguments, and prevent chaos. Your brain associated peace with safety. If everyone's calm, you're safe. As an adult, this pattern continues automatically. You read people's moods before they speak. You anticipate reactions, choose your words carefully, and constantly adapt. The cost? You lose touch with your own emotions. You stop reacting authentically because your focus is always external, on preventing disruption. It's not that you like keeping the peace. It's that your nervous system was wired to survive through emotional control. Number 3, you feel guilty for putting yourself first. This sign comes from early conditioning around self-worth. When a child grows up in a home where their value depends on what they do, how helpful, obedient, or mature they are, they learn that love must be earned. Psychologically, this creates a self-sacrificing identity. You feel uncomfortable prioritizing yourself because deep down, it feels wrong, even dangerous. The guilt comes from an internalized rule formed long ago. Other people's needs come first. As an adult, this manifests as difficulty saying no, overcommitting, and constant guilt when resting or doing something for yourself. The child who learned that care equals performance grows into the adult who mistakes exhaustion for responsibility. Number 4, you're obsessed with being productive. When you grow up in instability, busyness becomes a form of emotional regulation. Productivity offers predictability, a sense of control in a world that once felt chaotic. Neuroscience shows that constant activity triggers dopamine, a chemical that temporarily masks anxiety. That's why doing nothing feels uncomfortable. Rest activates the same parts of the brain that process emotion and memory, which can bring up buried stress or sadness. So, instead of resting, you keep moving, working, cleaning, planning, fixing, anything to avoid stillness. This is not ambition, it's hyperarousal, a state where your body stays alert because it learned early that safety is never guaranteed. Over time, this creates a pattern of overfunctioning, equating worth with output. Number 5, you don't really feel joy anymore. Emotional numbness is another strong indicator of growing up too fast. When children experience chronic stress, their brains adapt by dulling emotional responses to avoid overload, a process tied to emotional suppression and dissociation. In survival mode, the brain prioritizes safety over pleasure. Joy, excitement, and curiosity become secondary because they require vulnerability, something unsafe in unstable environments. As a result, adults who grew up too fast often report feeling flat even during positive events. They smile, celebrate, or succeed, but the emotions don't fully register. This isn't apathy. It's a leftover survival mechanism. The same system that once protected you from fear also numbed your ability to fully feel joy. Number 6, you're everyone's shoulder to lean on. Another sign of growing up too fast is becoming the constant caretaker. In childhood psychology, this is known as role reversal, when the child becomes the emotional support for adults. You might have been the listener when a parent cried, the problem solver when things went wrong, or the calm one when others lost control. This creates a deep pattern of empathic overextension, an automatic urge to take care of everyone else. As an adult, people naturally come to you for advice, comfort, or stability. You're reliable, steady, and emotionally intelligent. But this often happens at the expense of your own needs. The same sensitivity that once helped you survive now makes you a magnet for others' burdens. This pattern doesn't mean you're just kind. It means your brain still links care with safety. You learned that being useful keeps you connected. So, even when it drains you, you keep showing up for others, because being needed feels safer than being vulnerable. Number 7. You have a hard time trusting love. For many who grew up too fast, love feels complicated. It's because in early relationships, affection often came with conditions, attention when you performed well, approval when you behaved, or care when others had time. This inconsistent pattern shapes your attachment style. You may develop what psychologists call anxious or avoidant attachment, where love feels unstable or untrustworthy. So, when someone genuinely loves or cares for you, your first reaction isn't comfort, it's confusion. Your brain searches for the catch. You might think, why are they being so nice to me? Or, what do they really want? It's not that you don't want love, it's that your nervous system doesn't recognize it as safe. When affection once came mixed with hurt, your body learned to associate intimacy with danger. Even kindness can trigger alarm, because it feels unfamiliar. Number 8. You're great at helping others, but terrible at receiving. This behavior also traces back to childhood imbalance. When you grow up being the helper, the fixer, or the emotional anchor, your sense of worth becomes tied to giving. In developmental terms, this is linked to altruistic over-control, a coping mechanism that keeps you in charge of emotional exchanges. Accepting help feels unsafe because it means surrendering control, something you rarely had the luxury to do as a child. So when someone offers help, your body reacts with discomfort. You might smile and say, no, it's okay, even when you're struggling. Deep down, receiving triggers a fear of debt or disappointment, as if kindness always comes with strings attached. This dynamic often leaves you admired but lonely. You're the dependable one, but few people truly see your exhaustion because you never let them. Number 9. You say I'm fine, but you're not. The final sign is emotional masking, the habit of suppressing distress and performing stability. It begins when a child learns that showing pain doesn't lead to comfort. Instead of being soothed, they're ignored, punished, or told to be strong. Over time, this becomes emotional inhibition. You automatically downplay pain to avoid rejection or conflict. As an adult, it sounds like I'm fine, no worries, or it's not a big deal. Outwardly, you seem composed, but internally, your stress system never shuts off. Chronic self-containment keeps the body in a constant state of mild tension. You appear capable, even resilient, but it's the kind of resilience built on suppression, not recovery. Saying I'm fine became your way of maintaining control in chaos. It's not dishonesty, it's conditioning. You learned long ago that showing struggle wasn't safe, so you learned to hide it behind a smile. Finally, growing up too fast changes everything. When you grow up too soon, your brain develops in stress, not safety. That pressure rewires how you handle emotions, relationships, and trust. You become hyper-aware of others but disconnected from yourself, not immature, just over-mature. Those patterns of independence, guilt, busyness, and numbness aren't random. They're survival habits built by a child who had to act like an adult too early, and they shape the person you are today. That's all for today. I'll be making similar videos in the future. Subscribe to see them.